Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sagana Bhavatu Sagana Bhunaktu Sagaviriyam Karavavagai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vitvishavagayi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We were seeing in our last talk that along with knowledge awareness or wisdom knowledge, certain spiritual practices have to be also simultaneously gone through in order for the spiritual wisdom knowledge which one is maintaining in one's heart and mind to bear its eventual result, which is enlightenment or moksha or liberation. Call it what you will. So those knowledge, though it's a discipline, spiritual life is a discipline, like any other discipline. And it is a very precise science. Unfortunately, in the world, it has not been well presented as a science of liberation, along with its requisite accompanying features, so that rationally and intelligently each one who aspires for liberation can work out his enlightenment step by step, provided he understands the entire science of it. And this science has not been well presented as a science, the science of liberation, along with all its accompanying features. So Lord Krishna here in the Bhagavad Gita is trying to bring about a complete picture of the science of liberation, basically meant for two types of individuals. One is a person who is a hermit or a hermit monk, and the other is for the man of the world who's living an active life in society. For both of them, the same knowledge has been imparted, and the same knowledge accompanying knowledge, virtues and disciplines have also been enumerated. The only thing is one withdraws from active life, the other is fully engaged in the normal world. That's all the difference. So now Lord Krishna is enumerating now further on in verse number 57, having said in the verse number 656 that the person who is going through this process, has to become free of all likes and dislikes. And he is above Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. That means he has overcome likes. So he does not like anything nor dislike anything. Neither does he like a particular. There's another big problem which is faced by the human race. And that big problem is that they tend to like their own religion and have a tendency to dislike or have an aversion to the religions of others. That's because they are attached to their own religion. That's the problem. Because they are attached even to their own religion, therefore there is a corresponding aversion or a dislike towards the other religions. Now that state of affairs is not desirable, because a scriptural text does not at all deal with any religion. It is not concerned with religion at all in the normal conventional sense of the term. It only speaks of and educates you with the fundamental spiritual truths applicable to one and all, irrespective of their so-called religious affiliations. So therefore, a person who is going to be established in the glory of his Atman and who is proceeding towards enlightenment has neither an attachment to his own religion or an aversion to any other religious system itself. He has risen above that, gone beyond that. He has gone beyond that. So that is why he said, Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. He has no likes, no attachments towards anything. So including religions too. So having said this much, the next verse he says, Yaha sarvatra anabhisneha tattat prapya shubhashubham na abhinandati na dveshti tasya prajna pratishtita. Yaha, that individual who is now following this up with a knowledge discipline, sarvatra anabhisneha. So everywhere, in all circumstances, in all situations, in life, he is anabhisneha. He has no particular liking for anything, nor a disliking for anything which transpires in his life. Whether tat prapya shubhashubham, whether he receives anything shubha. Shubha means anything pleasant, anything pleasing, anything well. So he doesn't get attached to that. Anabhisneha is not attached to any pleasant situations, or ashubha, whether he receives something which is unpleasant, he doesn't have an aversion towards that too. Nor is he attached to that too. So sarvatra anabhisneha tat prapya, because as you keep on living your life in the world, you are bound to encounter and experience many a pleasant or many an unpleasant phenomena in life. So whenever these two come your way, he neither likes one nor has got an aversion for the other. That is to say, he experiences the experiences of life with a neutral frame of mind. So sarvatra anabhisneha tat prapya, whatever he experiences, and na abhinandati, he does not rejoice in it. If he receives anything pleasant, he doesn't rejoice in it, na abhinandati. And nor does he, when he receives something unpleasant, na dveshti. He does not have an aversion or a dislike towards it, because you have certain, at times you have an unpleasant experience in life, and at times it's a pleasing, pleasant experience. So either way, he is not elated or dejected by either one of the two. Tasya prajna pratishtita. For such a person, his prajna. Prajna here stands for his awareness in the Atman. Or the tendency that he has, the tendency that he has in trying to establish his awareness in the Atman. Because as a spiritual aspirant, you have got a tendency to apply your awareness or maintain your awareness in the Atman. So during this process, the person is not elated nor dejected by the phenomena of surrounding life. Sometimes one is confronted with an unpleasant situation and one wonders what to do with it. Of course, in life at times, that question doesn't arise when you have a pleasant situation arising in your life or a pleasant interaction. The question of what to do with it doesn't arise. But when there is an unpleasant, shall we say, an unpleasant, difficult situation in your life, and you begin to wonder what to do with it, whether to hold on to it or release it, because it has come your way, it is part of your karma of life indeed. It's part of your karma of life. And sometimes the karma of your life in which it's an inevitable process, and sometimes, however unpleasant it is, you may have to endure it and go through it. So during this process, you have got a feeling whether to hold on to it or leave it. And one man who was in such a dilemma, perplexity, went to the great saint Yoga Swami of Jaffna with this in mind, he didn't ask him, but he had this in his mind as to whether he should maintain a situation or release that situation. And the saint of Jaffna, Yoga Swami, perceived into his mind and promptly gave a reply stating that Puripanen Viduvanen. Puripan is, why do you want to hold on to it? Neither do you want to release it. Why do you want to hold on to it? And why do you want to release it? Puripanen Viduvanen. So you don't have to give it up, nor do you want to hold on to it. But all that you have to, that means all that you have to do is maintain it. Maintain the status quo in a pleasant way. Because it is an inevitable karma which has come your way, an inevitable karma wherein you may have to take care of that inevitable karma, especially when it is a family situation. And in certain situations, you are constrained to take care of the situation. Then you wonder what to do, whether to release it or to maintain it. So for that reason, he gave a very classic reply. You neither want to hold on to it, nor do you want to release it, but maintain it. Maintain the status. Go and take care of whatever has to be taken care, however unpleasant it be. However, I won't use the word unpleasant, however irksome it could be. A problematical situation. Sometimes you have to take care of it. There's no alternative left. So therefore, these people, so now that's a lesson. That's a lesson in life that whenever you receive something which has to be maintained by you, even though and you begin to wonder and ponder over it, what to do with it, and you know that it is your duty and your function to take care, then you just take care. That's about it. You neither have an aversion to it, nor a tendency to possess it. So therefore, he says, whatever comes your way, maintain a neutral frame of mind and take care of the situation. Then, but in the course of living of your life, of course, your senses are bound to come in contact, or you are bound to come in contact with the sensory world around you. That's an inevitable phenomenon. You cannot go and hide away in the jungles. Even in the jungles, you will find that something fascinating may appear to you from somewhere. So here also is the same thing too. Wherever you are living in the world, you are confronted with situations wherein you got your 10 senses, and corresponding to your 10 senses, you may be in a position, or you may have to perceive things around you. They're constrained you. It's inevitable. Then therefore, in such a situation wherein it is inevitable, how should you function? How should you function? So the next verse so beautifully says with an illustration, Yada samharate chayam kurmo angani va sarvashaha indriyani indriyartebhyas tasya prajna pratishtita. But in life, sometimes a situation arises wherein you're confronted, your sense organs, confronted with shall we say, an experience or a perception which may take you away from your spiritual awareness, because you are trying to maintain a spiritual frame of mind, trying to repose your mind in the Atman, but at the same time, sometimes when you're moving about, when you are in a place or when you're moving about, you're confronted with a situation of a sensory experience, which is inevitable. So with your eyes, you're bound to see certain things, and with your ears, which you're bound to hear certain sounds. So what should you do? And what you should do is mentioned in the next verse with a nice simile or example. Yada samharate chayam kurmo angani va sarvashaha. Just as the tortoise, the little tortoise which moves on the ground, it's an amphibious creature. It can move in water and also on land. And with its four little legs, with its face, it has got a shell on top, the tortoise, a big, strong shell. And then what does the tortoise do? Yada sammarate chayam kurmo angani va sarvashaga. In times of danger, in times of physical danger, what does it do? It immediately withdraws its limbs into its shell. It withdraws its head, its neck, and also its limbs into its shell for protection from the outside physical phenomena around. Whenever it perceives a danger. So also as an individual, so similarly also an individual, when he is moving about in the world, in life, whenever he perceives a form, a sensory form, which can entice and rob his attention away. So momentarily the person can be taken away, robbed away by a pleasing form or whatever nature it is, and he begins to dwell on it. Or when he hears a music, there are various types of music which come your way. Some are jarring music, like pop music, which is quite jarring indeed for certain people. So when they hear the pop music, they want to withdraw. And certain people have a fascination for classical music. So that also classical religious music, that also they want to withdraw from that. So what do? They refrain from hearing it. They immediately withdraw their sense of hearing. So whenever there is a rough music, you want to immediately withdraw your sense organ of hearing to yourself, so that you don't want to have the input of it. So also with respect to various forms too, physical forms, which may take your attention away, which may rob you of your attention, of your spiritual attention on the Atman. So when you are confronted with those forms too, an unbecoming sight, shall we put it that way? So when you're confronted with an unbecoming sight at certain places, when you go about, then what should you do? You restrain your organs, your eyes. You restrain your eyes from unnecessarily perceiving and coming in contact with them, because you know the danger involved in that, just as much as the music too. I remember once in a home that I was staying, the young man in the house was loudly putting on his pop music. So the mother told him to tone it down, tone the volume down, that it was giving her a headache to listen to his pop music. And the young boy turned around and said, your religious music also gives me equally an headache. When you put it on high volume, your religious music, that also gives me, the young man said. So both ways, the musical noise which can infiltrate into you can be a little jarring indeed. So therefore, you want to withdraw your sense of hearing from that. So therefore, just as much as the tortoise withdraws its organs, so also you withdraw your sense of your 5 sense organs within yourself. You restrain it within yourself. You close your eyes. When there is an unbecoming sight, you close your eyes. When there is an unbecoming sound, you restrain your ears from hearing it because you don't want. Similarly, also with all the 5 senses that you have. So that's an example being given via the tortoise. And so in all directions, in all senses, so all your senses are fully under your control and you want to restrain them because there is a power involved in these sense objects which can draw your attention away. It can draw your attention away. Attention from what? From maintaining your awareness of your divine nature. So instead of maintaining your awareness of the Atman, the sense object pulls you out and takes you out. So that's a spiritual danger. So therefore, in order to restrain yourself from that, you automatically withdraw it. You withdraw it. So that is why in the ancient days, especially in the Western world, they maintain men's monasteries separately and women's convents separately. So the two cannot come in contact with each other. And at the same time, they raise their walls almost up to 10 feet high so that they can shut off the world outside from which may come in. So the world outside is shut off from the monasteries or from the convents, so that you have less problems. Because what happens is, it's a very natural thing. You have a bunch of little boys or little girls, and you put some treats or sweets on the table. The moment you put it, immediately their hand goes and grabs it. They don't require your permission. Automatically they grab it. Without second thought, they all make a beeline for it because it's on the table. Since it was on the table, they were there and their hands went for it. But this is the same case with grown-ups too. In fact, grown-ups also have the same problem. When you lay out a course of delicious food on the table, and you don't have to restrain the men from walking there, they all gravitate towards it automatically. Because such a power has got, these delicious things have got such a power. They have got such a power. So therefore, in such a situation, it is always advisable to restrain oneself in such a case. Then at the same time, we have got another huge problem too. That is, it's a natural human problem. It's a very natural problem, both for the men and for the women. It's equally a problem indeed. And that is, once I was in Australia, staying in the home of an Australian couple. The woman was a teacher in the high school, And they had a party in the school for groups of students, wherein the schools were all separate schools of men and separate schools of women. And now the teachers there were meant to supervise the students. So she was in the girls' school and they were meant to chaperone and see that the girls who are in the party are to maintain their equilibrium. So also the men too. So they were both chaperoned. She came back home later that evening and told her husband that it was quite a big problem for them, and they were so surprised to see all the girls so excited with the boys around. Just by the mere sight of the boys around, because that was a separate girls' school and a separate boys' school. And when they were brought together for a party, she said they were so surprised at the way the girls reacted. They had a big job restraining them or keeping them in. They were to chaperone them. So the same thing with the boys too. So therefore, automatically this transpires, this situation. So therefore, he says very clearly here, Lord Krishna says, in such a situation, that is why convents and monasteries are all built separately, so that they don't come to eye to eye with each other, because the moment it happens, troubles arise. They get sparked and gravitate towards each other. So therefore, one has to restrain. So whenever these situations arise, immediately, just like the tortoise, one has to withdraw one's focus of vision. Withdraw it and indraw it within oneself. So that's the only that's the remedy for the whole problem. So therefore, indriyani indriyartebhyas tasya prajna pratishtita. So therefore, just like the tortoise withdrawing its senses or his limbs, so also this spiritual aspirant aspiring for enlightenment, he should also similarly be vigilant, be careful, and withdraw his senses from being enticed with their respective sense objects. And such a person who has got the ability or is trying to maintain this, for him, tasya prajna pratishtita. His awareness is now getting well established in the Atma. His awareness, his prajna, his awareness. Pratishtita, he is getting himself gradually by and by established in the Atma. Because, why? The next verse says it very beautifully. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah rasavarjam rasoapyasya param drishtva nivartate. But it being so, it being the case, but there is something interesting. When a person so restrains his sense organs from coming in contact or from having its sensuous observation. So when it comes in contact means sensuous observation. When you see a form, it's a sensuous observation of the form, physical form. When you're hearing music of various audios, it's a sensuous observation of the music. So when such a situation arises, then there are various types of music too, all types of music. So what does a person do? Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah. So the person, once he withdraws his sense organs from the respective sense objects, like the form, the sound, the taste, etc. Niraharasya dehinah, and he doesn't provide input for his sense, nirahara. So by doing this, he doesn't provide input for his senses. He restrains himself, just like a person who has got the diabetic sugar problem automatically restrains himself from gravitating towards sweet dishes, because he knows, even though he has a tendency to like it, but he knows its implications and restrains himself. So in the same way also, Mira Harassing. So the one, when you keep on restraining your sense organ from dwelling with the respective sense objects, Vishya Vinivartan, the sense object recedes away, it recedes back. Of course, because you have not come in contact with it. You have become indifferent to it, shall we use the word. You have become indifferent to the sense object. So Vishya Vinivartante, thereby the sense object recedes back into a distance. For whom? Niraharasya Dehinaha. So Dehinaha means for the embodied individual. So you are the embodied individual, Dehinaha. Here the word Dehinaha is being used very well. Dehinaha means you are the embodied individual indwelling in a body which has got the sense organs attached to this physical body of yours, whereby you experience the phenomena of life around you. So experiencing this sensory phenomena of life in a pleasant way or in a pleasing way is a spiritually dangerous operation. Spiritually dangerous, not for others. For others, it is part of their normal life. But for a spiritual individual, they are spiritually dangerous because they will take and draw him out. They will take his awareness out into the sensory world. So therefore, such a person, Niraharasya. So he does not give input to his sense organs. By withdrawing them from their sense objects, Nirahara means he does not give an input, so that this form or the sound of the form world or the sense or the sound world does not impinge upon him. So when it does not impinge upon him, he does not feed it. He does not feed his sense organ. So once you perceive something, you are fed with that. You are fed with the form world. Once you hear the sound, you are fed with the sound world. Once you are fed with delicious food, you are fed with the taste world. The tongue, you're feasting there. With the tongue, with the taste world, you're feasting. But when you restrain yourself, then what happens is, the sense or object under consideration, it of course remains where it is. If it draws away, it remains where it is. But it leaves one thing. It of course recedes away. But it leaves rasavarjam. It leaves your lingering taste for it. You've got a taste within yourself to experience that, to experience a delicious sweet food, even though it is not desirable for you. Sweets, even though it's the taste for that sweets is very much strong within you. You would like to go in for the sugar-coated chocolate or ice cream or any other sugar-coated dish. But the taste for it is lingering there. Taste for it is lingering there. Why? Because you have tasted this long time, since number of lifetimes you have tasted this and you have become so ingrained in this. It has infused into your nature, into your character so far. So therefore, that lingering taste remains, even though you have withdrawn your sense object, your sense organ from its sense object, the lingering taste remains there. The lingering taste for each one of the sensory objective phenomena in the world, because you have previously experienced them and tasted them, and they seem to be good and nice, and therefore there is a taste for it. You have a taste for music, or classical music, or rock music, or whatever music, or religious music. The taste is there, lingering taste. So whenever you hear it, you immediately prick your ears. So the taste for it is there. That is, sir, you are a rasikan, a person who is got, a person who delights in this, who delights in these things. So rasavarja, so that taste for it, rasavarja, that remains there within you. But when will this disappear? Raso apyasya param drishtva nivartate. But this lingering taste or the lingering longing which you may be having towards these, they will also param drishtva nivartate. They will also disappear when you perceive and experience the divine. Param drishtva nivartate. It is only at that time. It is at that time that they totally disappear. They totally disappear. Until then, they may be lying in the subconscious of your mind. You may have temporarily overcome it, the passion or the desire for it, but it is lying there dormant in your mind, dormant in the subconscious of your mind. But that also will only disappear. That dormant state of this lingering desire will only disappear only when you get enlightened to your Atman reality. Until then, it will remain there dormant in the subconscious of your mind. So therefore, you have got to be very careful in your operations. The operations of negotiating your life at various levels, at various places, in various situations, so that they don't come and rob your attention away and take you away for a good ride. That's exactly what they do. They take you for a good ride. So therefore, raso apyasya, so that lingering taste. Now what happens is, in the meantime, when you keep on maintaining your awareness in the Atman, then at that time you are cultivating divine impressions or godly impressions or the impressions of the Atman. So these impressions which you are constantly cultivating and acquiring, they go and neutralize and efface all the other worldly impressions which were lying dormant in your subconscious mind. So gradually they are getting themselves effaced and cleared off. But the final clearance will only take place only when you get enlightened, when you experience your Atma. So therefore, until then, one has to be very cautious indeed. Very cautious. So raso apyasya param drishtva nivartate. So it is at that time only that even the lingering taste for it goes away. So therefore, all through one has to maintain. But in the initial period, one develops a certain amount of vairagya. Vairagya means dispassion. Dispassion. Wherein your passions have cooled down, but nevertheless, the passions are lying dormant in the subconscious of your mind. So you do not give facility for it to pop up and rise up and take you away for a jolly good ride somewhere. So therefore, until then, you got to hold yourself, restrain yourself in check. Then, so it is said, what is ahara? Niraharasya dehinaga. So now you have become nirahara. You're not intaking Ahara means food. So by so restraining yourself, you are not intaking the sensory food offered to you by the eyes, the ears, the tongue, the touch. So you're not receiving it, you're not intaking it. So nirahara. So that is, so ahara is the food. So you obtain food through each one of these sensory inputs. Through these sensory inputs, you receive food. Now, it is said, Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Suddhihi, Sattva Suddhau Dhruva Smritihi. Ahara Shuddha. When the ahara, the food that you intake, ahara Shuddhi, so how can you bring about the purity of the ahara getting into you? By receiving it without likes and dislikes. Neutral. You are totally neutral. So by that, you don't intake the food passed on to you by your sense organs. So when you don't receive it with likes or dislikes, but with a neutral frame of mind, then at that time, so you become, so that is how you are to experience your various phenomena of life around you. So ahara shuddhi. So this is how one should go about experiencing and phenomena of life all around. A neutral perception. You're totally neutral. You have neither likes nor dislikes. But with a neutral frame of mind, you experience whatever has to be experienced by you in various forms. So, ahara shuddhau, sattva shuddhihi. So by that, sattva shuddhi means your mind becomes purified. Because now you are intaking pure food. Ahara shuddhau, sattva shuddhihi. Sattva shuddhau, dhruva smritihi. Dhruva smritihi. Smritihi means you will begin to remember your true nature. Sattva shuddhau. So ahara shuddha, there's another meaning for it also. Ahara is the food. And what is that food? The food you are intaking. The food that you are intaking is the awareness of your Atman. You're constantly being aware of the Atman, and every second that you are being aware of the Atman, you are intaking the ahara, or the food of the Atman. Atman nature. The Atman impression. And this goes and purifies ahara shuddha, sattva shuddhi, and it brings about the purity or the purification of your antakarana or the mind stuff. And when it gets totally purified by this process, then what happens is sattva shuddha dhruva smritihi. And after that, dhruva smritihi, smriti means you begin to recollect. When your mind, when your antakarana or the mind stuff has become very pure and purified, dhruva smritihi, you begin to experience, you begin to become aware, or recollect, smriti here, to recollect your divine nature. Because of the purity of nature indeed, you will immediately, spontaneously begin to recollect your divine nature indeed. Or at the same time, God himself at that time will speak to you because you are ready to remember who you are. And he injects that final injection into you to make you aware. So you hear the word from God at that time. Yes, you are the divine, you are the Atman. And smriti here, and you recollect and you experience your divine nature indeed. Then, having said this much, he continues in verse number 60. Yatato hi api kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramadini haranti prasabam manaha. Yatato. That being the case, a note of caution is once again given. how strong and powerful the senses are. Because these senses, the sense organs that you have got a great capacity to take you away into the sensory physical world, which you have been thus far used to or engaged with. Thus far, all through your life, you have been engaged with this physical universe, with your sense organs, and therefore these sense organs have developed a natural character to take you out into the sensory world of forms, sound, taste, touch, and smell. Automatically it takes you out into these five worlds. So therefore, yatato hi api kaunteyo Kundi putra, the son of Kunti, Kaunteya. Yatato hi api, even though the person makes a great deal of effort, you've got to initially make a lot of effort indeed to restrain yourself, to restrain, yatato api. So in both ways, you've got to make an effort. The effort is done in both ways. One is to restrain yourself, and the other is, having restrained yourself, to apply yourself in the Atman. So it's a dual process. So you can only apply yourself, your awareness in the Atman, only when you have restrained yourself. So stage A, stage 1, stage 2. So you got to initially restrain your senses, and then having restrained stage 2, you can repose your mind in the Atman. So therefore, both of them go together, one following the other. So even though you are making an effort to maintain your awareness in your Atman, your divine nature, for whom? Vipaschitaha Purushasya, for that person who is Vipaschitaha. So Vipaschitaha means the person who is intently being aware of his Atman. The person, yatato hi api kaunteya Purushasya Vipaschitaha, for that Purusha, for that individual, O son of Kunti, Vipaschita, even though he is fully alert to his divine nature, he is alert to his divine nature. He is in the process of being alert to it, constantly aware of it. But nevertheless, Indriyani Pramadini Haranti Prasabam Manaha. Even then, even though the person is fully alert to his divine nature, Indriyani, the senses, the sense organs, have got a powerful capacity within themselves, Pramadini. So they have got an inordinate power within themselves. Indriyani Pramadini. Haranti Prasabam Manaha. So the mind, these sense organs have got that capacity to Prasabam Manaha, violently take the mind away from its awareness of the Atman and take it away to the outside world, sensory world. So that is a capacity which the senses have. Because all these years we have been so used to living in this sensory world. It was a natural process. So, and therefore they have got a natural capacity or the strength or the power in themselves. However much you are initially trying to maintain your awareness in the Atman, they come Pramadini. They have got such a character within themselves that they take the mind violently and fix it on the sense objects. So therefore, so that being their nature, that's their nature. So you've got to understand its nature. That's the nature of the senses. That they have this strength and this power to take you away. Take whom away? The person whose mind is now settling down in the Atman. He is practicing it. So such a mind, such a person, it's taken away. So therefore, what should you do? So in verse number 61, he says, Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yasya indriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. Therefore, Tani sarvani samyamya. Therefore, you must samyamya. That is, you got to control, bring control and bring about a control over your sense objects, sense organs. Huh? Your 10 sense organs, you got to bring them under control. Sarvani samyamya. Huh? And so you got to withdraw themselves. So that is what you do when you get into a meditative state. When you are automatically in a meditative state, you withdraw your senses. Similarly, also when you are going about, in the same way also you withdraw them. You withdraw them. So whenever there is a danger, spiritual danger, when I use the word danger, it's a spiritual danger. Whenever there is a spiritual danger which has appeared in front of you, or which has come around your corner, then at that time you have got to now do the needful, samyamya, sarvani samyamya. So restrain your sense organs. Yuktaha, asita matparaha, yuktaha. And at the same time, yuktaha, be united, be self-disciplined at that time. Be self-disciplined, yuktaha, asita matparaha. And be intently aware, asita matparaha. Being totally aware, being aware. Try to repose your awareness in the Atman. Within yourself in the Atman. So you are getting so positively speaking, whenever these dangerous or troublesome things which may come and rob your attention away, then you withdraw yourself from them and immediately repose your mind in the Atman. So by reposing your mind in the Atman, then you develop and acquire a certain amount of strength. And by, that original tendency fizzles and disappears and goes away. So such a vasehi yasya indriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. So vasehi yasya indriyani. Say he whose indriyas, whose sense organs are under his control, just like a tortoise, totally under his control. Vashehi yasya indriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. For such a person, his prajna, his awareness is well established. Is well established in the Atman. Tasya. So because he is now enumerating certain features which a spiritual aspirant has to go through and cultivate, is part of his exercise. So spiritual discipline, if you may use the word, just as much as any other avenue of discipline, just like the sports discipline, whether it is soccer discipline or tennis or cricket or any other sports discipline, it requires a discipline to go through. A discipline in food, a discipline in living life, a discipline in the practices. So corresponding to each discipline, there is a discipline to be gone through. So here also, as far as the spiritual life is concerned, there is a spiritual discipline. And it is the spiritual discipline which is being enumerated. And who is the person who will undertake this? The person who wants to get enlightened. The person who wants to experience this God nature. Only such a person who has got this wish or the desire will go through this. So once you have this strong desire to get liberated, then automatically the disciplines will also correspondingly follow along with it, and you must know what those disciplines are. So therefore, for such a person, his prajna, his awareness is now getting established, pratishtita, he's getting established and stabilized in the Atman. What happens? In verse number 62, he mentions there is something which happens. Very interesting if you don't observe this. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha Kamat krodo abhijayate. Krodat bhavati sammoha. Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. Smriti bramshat buddhinasho. Buddhinashat pranashyate. These two verses are clubbed together. Therefore, I am reading them together. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. So that pumsaha, that individual, man or woman, pumsa is more neuter, more masculine. So, but nevertheless, it's meant for both. That individual, dhyayato vishayan pumsaka. So that individual, that man, dhyayato vishayan, when he contemplates on sense objects, dhyayato vishayan. So people think of many things or contemplate on many things. So here, when a person contemplates, now he's giving a general idea, a general knowledge about what happens to a normal individual, to any normal individual, what happens. So, dhyayato vishayan pumsaka. So that individual who thinks, who contemplates, who reverberates his mind upon the sensory world, upon vishayan, upon things of the world. What happens to him? Sangas teshu upajayate. Sangha means attachment. Sangas teshu upajayate. So in due course, sangha means to be attached to it. Teshu upajayate, a tendency to associate with it. When you think of something, dhyayato, when you think of something, the next step is to be associated with it. Sangas teshu upajayate. So automatically you get in touch with it, in contact with it, or you get in association with it. You get associated with it. Sangas teshu upajayate. So once this happens, then sangha takes place. So once you get familiar with it, the next step is you get attached to it. You get attached to it. Sangas teshu upajayate. So once you have become familiar with it, you become attached to it. And having become attached to it, then what happens? Sangat sanjayate kamaha. So in due course, sangat sanjayate kamaha. So when you, over a period of time, when you begin to associate with something in close proximity, sangat sanjayate kamaha. Kamaha means desires coming. Desires, the desire to possess it, to obtain it comes in. To possess or obtain it comes in automatically. Otherwise, why should you want to have an association with it? There is no reason to have an associate with it. You don't want to associate it with a dog unless you want to possess the dog. You don't want to associate with a cat unless you want to possess the cat and take him into your house. Otherwise, you leave him severely alone where he belongs. Because I see a smile on one of the persons because they have got a lot of cats. Anyhow, sangat sanjayate kamaha. So kamaha, desire comes in automatically. Desire. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. So desire comes into the person. Kamat krodo abhijayate. And then when kama comes in, kama means desire. The kama is a mild word. Desire is a mild word. The most stronger word is passion. Passion for it comes in. You develop a passion for it. So once you develop a passion for it, you can't be without it. You have developed a passion for passion fruit. You know, there is a particular fruit called the passion fruit, which is found in some of the tropical countries. So you develop a passion for that passion fruit or any other passion for anything else. So therefore, you develop a passion for it. So once you develop a passion, you are in serious trouble. Because once the moment the passions for it come in, then you want to possess it and enjoy it. And the net result, and then if some impediment comes, kamat krodo abhijayate, and if an obstruction or an impediment comes in the way, then immediately anger surfaces. Anger, krodo abhijayate, automatically Krodha comes in. So now in all these stages, you have lost your balance. You're slipping from one to the other. It's a gradual slip. And finally, you obtain the final slip, final fall. The final fall indeed. So therefore, the slip begins with initially thinking about the worldly matters, about worldly things. So once you begin to contemplate about the things of the world, so therefore that is why it is said that what to do with the world. The world is going in its funny way, what to do with it? So people often, spiritual people too, want to spend a lot of time dwelling upon the world, that they are quite upset with the way things are going in the world. It's all right for you to objectively perceive the sky, but not to get upset over the blueness of the sky or the cloud formation in the sky, which goes and obscures the sun which you are trying to perceive. That's a different issue altogether, if you get upset by that. But if you objectively view things, it's all right. But lots of people in the world are contemplating upon what's going on in the world. Of course, it's going on in the world. So what? The world has been going on like this for thousands of years, since time immemorial, and it will go on like this in the future too. The world is like a dog's tail. You cannot straighten the dog's tail. The dog's tail either goes down or curls up. If the tail curls up, the dog is a little ferocious. If the dog's tail curls down, he is in a mood to surrender. So that is how the dogs surrender to each other in a ferocious contest. But you can't straighten the dog's tail. Similarly also, you can't straighten this world. This world is what it is. Take it for what it is and get out of it. So the motto of your life should be, live and get out. Live your life and get out as quickly as possible, because you can't straighten this world. Take it for whatever it is worth. However worthless it is. It is worth for something. This world which is confronting is worth for something. And do you know what it is worth for? It is a good place for you to get enlightened. That's where the worth of the world is. And try to understand that. This earth plane that you are living in, this physical universe that you are living in, the positive and the negative forces which are around in the world are suitably balanced for you. So that in this world, it's easier for you to get enlightened. In fact, it is said that the gods who are living in the heavens are envious of you, because the environment there in the heavenly regions is not suitable for you to get enlightened. It's a pleasure resort. So in a pleasure resort, you can't easily get enlightened. So the gods who know this, they are aware of, so they are envious of you and you are envious of them, because you wish to be there and they wish to be here, having realized the folly of being there. So therefore, the positive and the negative forces which are found in our physical universe, in our world indeed, are very conducive and suitable for your enlightenment. For your enlightenment. Understand this, appreciate this. That is why one holy man said, the same holy man that I have been referring to, Yoga Swami said, it's a good world. It's a good world. Think to yourself, how can God create a bad world or a nasty world? It's not possible. He has created this world for your benefit. He has produced you and given you an environment and placed you in an environment which is suitable for your immediate growth. And different people at different levels of development, according to their corresponding level of development, they have been placed in a particular environment in different parts of the world. So therefore, where you are right now is the most appropriate place for your life, for you to go through the experiences of your life, to experience out your life. So out of this experiencing of life, you develop soul growth. You become, you mature. You mature. So therefore, it's a good world, and try to understand this. There's nothing wrong with the world outside. All of you know very well what is wrong with this. The man is, everything is wrong with the man who is trying to manipulate this world the way he wants to manipulate. But the world by itself, the surrounding physical universe, is a wondrous, beautiful universe meant for your benefit. It's a suitable environment which God has provided for you, for your enlightenment, for you to go through the operations of your discipline. This is your discipline, so that you can get enlightened in this living your life here itself. So therefore, do not unnecessarily contemplate about. Of course, you can objectively understand what it is, but don't get subjectively involved in the world. Because once you get subjectively involved, you've got to identify with the world around. Why not rather identify yourself with your divine nature? The moment you do so, and the moment you tend to do so, then you loosen your identification with the world indeed. Let the world go its own mad ways. You know how mad the world is. Let it go. Leave it alone. And go on with your discipline, with your way of life. Because what I am talking now is only basically meant for the good spiritual people who want to realize the Atman or their divine nature. So this advice is being imparted for them. So therefore, dhyayato vishayan pumsaka, therefore, by contemplating on in the world, or contemplating about the world or things of the world, you develop sangaha, you develop association and attachment. First association, then thereafter through association, you get attached to it. And once you get attached to it, sangha, then sangat, sanjaya, and then through attachment, desire arises, passions arise. And when passions are obstructed, krodho abhijayata, you become angry indeed. Anger comes into you. Kamat krodho abhijayate. Then after that, what happens to you? Krodhat bhavati sammoha. So once you get angry, the next step is sammoha. You get deluded. Sammoha. You don't know what is right, what is wrong. An angry man does not know what is right and what is wrong because he has lost balance. He has lost his balance. A person loses his balance in two times. When he gets angry, he loses his balance. When he has got a tremendous passion for something, he loses his balance there also. So in both ways, he loses his balance. When you're overpowered by your passions, you lose your balance. When you get angry also, you lose your balance. So therefore, never argue with an angry man. The best way to treat him is to offer him a glass of water. A glass of cold water. That will cool him down. Then he'll come back to his senses. So therefore, krodhat bhavati sammoha. And then once you get angry, you lose all good sense of right and wrong. An angry person can say many wrong things, many nasty things. He can do many nasty things or wrong things, and all done by anger. After the anger is over, he regrets. He may or may not regret after his anger has subsided as to the force of passion that he went through in anger. That which made him do things which he would have never done, which made him say things which he may have never said. So therefore, it is very important to hold one's self in check. So therefore, krodhat bhavati, and therefore, through anger, krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammoha is delusion. So you get deluded. You don't know what is right and what is wrong, what is proper and what is improper. Anger does it, passions do it. Both of these, some moha, they bring about delusion within a person. The person is totally deluded. And through delusion, what happens? Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. And once you get deluded by this, smriti vibhramaha. Smriti means the good lessons that you have received so far. So far unto now, you have been taught and you have learnt many a good teaching, and good norms you have acquired. You have been taught so. And smriti, and you lose that sense. You forget it. Smriti vibhramaha. So all the good teachings which you have acquired, the good guidelines which you have acquired, vibhramaha, you forget it. You lose it. You forget all the good teachings which have come to you thus far in your life. Smriti Brahmshat Buddhi Nasho. So then what happens after that? Smriti Brahmshat Buddhi Nasho. So once you lose the good teachings, Smriti Brahmsha, you do not know what is correct, what is incorrect, what is good conduct, what is wrong conduct or bad conduct. All that goes away. Buddhi Nashaka. And Buddhi Nashaka means the mind which was so far reposing or trying to repose in the Atman, Brahma Maya Buddhi, the Buddhi which has its content on Brahman, the Atman. So such a Buddhi, such a mind, it disappears. Buddhi Nashaka. So Brahma Maya Buddhi, that means say your Buddhi or mind, which was in synchronicity with Brahman, which is your divine nature or which is your Atman nature, that particular Buddhi or ability, Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati, when that disappears, Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati, you Pranashyati, you lose everything. You lose everything. Pranashyati means you lose everything that you have so far built up and acquired. So therefore, it is absolutely necessary to begin from the top. The top is Dhyayato Vishayan. Don't contemplate unnecessarily on the things of the world. Vishayan Pumsaka. Because the moment, that's where the danger comes in. So therefore, do not forget the world. Let the world go its own way. Mind your own business. Your business at this point is to become aware of your divine nature and discipline your life accordingly. Accordingly, go through your disciplines, being totally focused in your Atman. So by this process, you will arrive at the final end. Om Tat Sat.